So, congratulations to them again. And I think many people look forward to this afternoon's ceremony, as everybody is really eager to find out what portfolios are there and who's going to get this portfolio, who's going to get this ministry or whatever. So definitely that is something that people are looking forward to. Let me give out the numbers early. The numbers are 466-0989 or 762-0989 or 662-0989 for you to participate in the program today. So, of course, Dr. Terence Drew has been sworn in as the country's fourth prime minister following his St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's win in the general elections held last week, Friday. That's August 5th, 2022. And as I said earlier, his colleagues will be sworn in today. The elected members, Marsha Henderson, Samuel Duggins, Conris Maynard, Jeffrey Hanley, and Denzel Douglas, they are the elected members that will be sworn in as members of the cabinet. And of course, we will be waiting to hear the other appointed positions. I know there will be the Attorney General, and I think two other positions will be named today. This is a big event, and so a lot of people, more than like a lot of people will be attending this inauguration today. Something that many people are looking forward to, not just here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but across the region. Of course, the general elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis were followed by a lot of people, regional pollsters, other regional media houses, and political commentators, people who follow things here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And definitely all eyes were on St. Kitts and Nevis last week, Friday. And again, they will be looking at a study to see, the composition of the cabinet. Now, I wanted to touch on, as I said, some of the things that took place throughout the week. And of course, I want to get your take on some of these major news stories. Now, Dr. Terence Drew has already started his work as the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. I was going through social media the other day and realized that he has been touring some of the government departments and ministries to familiarize himself with the staff members there and, get a better understanding of the ministries and departments in his government. Met with different permanent secretaries and department heads and the different officers within the different ministries and departments. Apart from that, the Prime Minister has also met with the Premier of Nevis, and that is according to him when he was in an interview, during an interview with Andre Huey of SKN Newsline. He met with Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley, and the leader of the NRP, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. And the Prime Minister said that he said, quote, I have communicated with the Premier of Nevis with the Premier of Nevis and the leader of the NRP. I've said to the Premier that the issues with Nevis need to be resolved, and I am taking that very seriously. I will sit with the Premier of Nevis, and we have to find a way to hammer out the tough issues of CBI revenue, aspects of the Constitution that really need to be dealt with so we can have a better relationship so that these matters don't raise their head again. He also spoke about the Charlestown Accord that was an agreement between the former administration team Unity. He said, I know they had the Charlestown Accord, but we see people weren't respecting it, saying it is not worth anything. So anything we do has to be done in a legislative framework that will have the strength to survive. And that is how I think we have to move. But I am committed to resolving these issues, and where there are inequities or a sense of mistreatment or not being given a fair share, we have to deal with those issues so that St. Kitts feels satisfied and Nevis feels satisfied, Prime Minister Drew said. When he spoke about the legislative framework that is suggesting that the agreement going forward would not just be, a an agreement between himself and the Premier or whoever is Premier going forward. It suggests that they will be looking to put these things into legislation. So you know that if government changes in the next 5 years or whatever, the framework is there, and the person who takes over from Dr. Joe, or the person who takes over from Premier Mark Brantley, they will have this legislation, this document to follow. I think this is a step in the right direction in terms of fixing the issues between both islands. We know that in the general elections held last Friday, or the campaign leading up to the general elections, that was a major talking point for members of the Team Unity, or the former Team Unity administration, CCM, PAM, even PLP. They spoke heavily on that Charlestown Accord, specifically issues relating to the CBI revenue and non-tax revenue sharing and all of that. It was a major talking point, not just for them, but other political commentators and political pundits talked about it. We know that before Team Unity took office in 2015, that was something they spoke about, or that's something that they came together and drafted, the Charlestown Accord. And apart from the CBI revenue and all of that, other things were listed in that. But the CBI revenue and the talk around that became a major talking point in the campaign. So Dr. Drew now has committed to, making an attempt at trying to fix these issues. And he mentioned legislative framework, which is, I think, what is needed to ensure that we don't go back to where we once were. I just wanted to play a short clip for you. This is Dr. Drew taking the oath of office, the oath of secrecy. This was last week, Saturday. He was sworn in as the Prime Minister. For those of you who missed it, I'll just play the short clip. It's about 5 minutes long. Have a listen.
I'll now administer the oath of office.
Yes.
I, Dr. Terence Michael Drew,
I, Dr. Terence Michael Drew,
do swear
that
I will honor, uphold, and preserve
the
Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis,
the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis,
and the law. That I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability, discharge my duties
as
Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis,
as Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis,
and do right to all manner of people, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God. So I will now administer the oath of secrecy. I, Dr. Terence Michael Drew, do swear that I will not on any account,
at any time whatsoever,
disclose any counsel,
advice,
opinion or vote given by any minister of the cabinet, and that I will not, except with the authority of the cabinet, and to such extent as may be required, for the proper conduct of the government, of St. Christopher and Nevis, directly or indirectly, reveal the business, or proceedings of the cabinet, or any matter coming to my knowledge, as a member of the cabinet. So help me God. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
I now will invite the Honorable Dr. Terence Michael Drew, Prime Minister of the Federation.
Adamus, Master of Ceremony, allow me to adopt the protocols that have been established, but allow me to recognize, of course, the Governor Generals, Tapley Seaton, and our Judge, His Lordship as well. And allow me to recognize my elected members of my party, Dr. Jeffrey Henley, Mr. Conris Maynard, Ms. Marsha Henderson, and of course, Mr. Samuel Duggins. I would like to also recognize my father, Mr. Heiliger, Michael Heiliger, my son, Terrence Drew Jr., and our Senator Joyal. But I also see members from the Diplomatic Corps who I would like to acknowledge and recognize, and those who are the specially invited guests here this afternoon, I also do recognize you. It is indeed an esteemed pleasure to be given the opportunity by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to be their Prime Minister. I consider it an office of service. And I also recognize that it's an office that I do not own, and I am only here at the behest of the people. And I also know that I'm here for a limited time. And during the time that I'm here, I vow to work closely with the members of my cabinet to be named shortly, to work with those who are in other positions in government, and most of all, to work with our citizenry, to extend a hand much closely to our federation sister, or to our sister island, Nevis, so that whatever issues there are, that we can solve and resolve to bring our federation ever closer together. I look forward over the next 5 years to serving the people of St. Kitts and Nevis with distinction, with respect, on the principles of good governance, transparency, integrity, so that our nation can be counted among those that are of the best. I want to end by saying once again, thanks to all of you for being here this afternoon, and thanks to all who participated in the democratic process so that we can have a smooth passing of the baton and so that we can really continue the progress of our young nation. Thank you very much.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program today. It's 21 minutes past the hour of 11, and let us continue where we left off from. That was just a clip from the Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terrence Drew, following the swearing in last week, Saturday. He was sworn in by the Governor General and by the His Lordship, I think, Justice Trevor Ward. And of course, today is Inauguration Day. As I mentioned, many people are looking forward to the portfolios. We do not know yet what portfolios will be assigned, but people have been, over the past few days, making the assumptions, saying, well, I believe this portfolio will go to this person. We know right now, as it is, Dr. Drew said that Dr. Jeffrey Hanley will be assigned the portfolio of education. That was the only portfolio that he made mention of, apart from him suggesting that he will be taking health as he is a medical doctor, I think best suited to take health. Dr. Douglas is also a medical doctor. So between Dr. Drew and Dr. Douglas, but he said Dr. Jeffrey Hanley will be taking on the Ministry of Education. And so I assume that the other ministries that would fall within education will be assigned to Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. And Dr. Drew suggested that he would be taking the Ministry of Health. But other people have been suggesting or giving their recommendation or well, I don't want to say recommendation, but basically their opinion on who they think would best run the different ministries. Some people have been suggesting that Congressman Maynard, the elected representative for St. Christopher 3, should get or may get ministries such as public infrastructure or culture and entertainment, things along that line. Also, Samuel Duggins may get entertainment and culture or agriculture. Marsha in terms of Marsha maybe foreign affairs, international trade. But we're really eager to hear what the different portfolios would be and who would be assigned the different portfolios. But I think the work continues. Of course, the permanent secretaries, when we do not have ministers of government yet assigned, the permanent secretaries, of course, step in and they have to ensure that the work continues within the government. While we do have a prime minister now, the ministers will officially begin their work next week, Monday. That is this coming Monday. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 466-0989, 762-0989 or 662-0989. Give your take on the assignment of the portfolios and why. Whether you think this person deserves that portfolio or ministry, and giving you the opportunity to explain your answer, and let's have a conversation on that. Usually, portfolios are assigned to people who have some level of experience or expertise or knowledge of the area. Of course, it was easy for everybody to assume that Dr. Hanley would get the Ministry of Education and things associated with the Ministry of Education. He has been involved in youth work and youth development and empowerment for basically his entire career. He was a principal. He has been a teacher. So it's easy for everyone to assume that he would be assigned those ministries. But give your take on the assignment of the portfolios and, explain why you think this person should get that and why this person should be assigned that portfolio. It is something that everybody has been looking forward to. But as I said, people were on social media, suggesting who should get what and who should get this. I think the Prime Minister, Dr. Joe, in his own wisdom, would decide who gets what ministry. And I don't think the decision would just be made at the request of anybody in particular, but who he thinks would be able to manage and run the ministry effectively and, really deliver on what they ought to deliver on. We have a new government, and so the expectations are really high, I think, especially in the areas of health and education, but more so health. We know during the 2020 campaign, the topic of healthcare, affordable healthcare, that too was a major talking point for the political parties and the candidates contesting the election. Everybody, made an attempt to outline what they would do in the area of healthcare, providing affordable healthcare for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and, giving their take as to what changes they would make. We have a first call for this morning, so let's head to the phone lines. We'll take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, and greetings in Jesus' name, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, first of all, I would like to say that, with all due respect, it does not matter who is in government, if we don't do things the Bible way, things will continually go wrong. And we have not been doing things the Bible way, and the way it looks, we are still not going to be doing things the Bible way. And once we don't do things the Bible way, things would only continually go destructively and ruinously wrong for us, with the curses and the wrath of Jesus Christ on us.
Okay. Well, caller, today we are talking about the new government. What is your take on that and the different portfolios? Who do you think would get this on and why?
Yes, what I just said will set the stage for dovetailing into that. With all due respect, all of these portfolios, ministries, and that sort of stuff are part of socialist, communist, and fascist policies which do not work. It's not the Bible way of doing things.
All right.
All these ministries would only serve to retard the progress and prosperity of us. They are actually negative to us. All these ministries and these portfolios, they are contrary to the Bible way of doing things.
So, what is your suggestion? What do you think? What do you suggest? Are you suggesting that there be no assignment to the portfolios? What do you suggest?
Yeah, right. That is part one. You're correct with that. Part two, I'm suggesting that we start to do things the Bible way and limit government to its biblical role, which is based on Romans 13 and other passages. First of all, to be giving God the glory in winning people for his kingdom, which is the first duty of government and all other human institutions as well. And secondly, where particularly government is concerned, to praise those who do good according to the Bible and to punish those who do evil according to the Bible, and to pick up the taxes for such duties, God-given duties. Anything beyond that is anti-biblical and very bad and destructive to us.
All right.
And that is where all of these ministries and portfolio are concerned. They are going beyond the Bible. And the Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6, do not go beyond what is written, because that is sinful and bad, very bad for us.
All right. Thank you, caller, for your contribution to this program. We're still taking your calls here on Inside the News on WINN FM 98.9. Call us at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. Of course, feel free to leave a comment on the social media part of it. Facebook and YouTube at WINN Media SKN. Today's inauguration day here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. Dr. Terence Chu has already been sworn in as the Prime Minister, the fourth Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, now we await the assignment of the different portfolios. What is your take on that? The phone lines are open. We want to hear from you, your suggestion, and who do you think would get this portfolio and why? And of course, some of your expectations, as I said, the ministries of health and the Ministry of Education, but more so health, the expectation is really high. A lot of people have been, talking about healthcare in St. Kitts and Nevis. So I think whoever takes on the Ministry of Health, and as I said, Dr. Joe suggested that he would be taking on the Ministry of Health, they have their work cut out. They have a lot of work to do, because I would think that 10 in 10 or 9 in 10 people right now in St. Kitts and Nevis really want the healthcare issue to be addressed. Affordable healthcare. No longer having people doing or organizing GoFundMe pages to raise money to seek medical attention and all of that. Even though some people have insurance, the insurance may not be enough to cover the medical bill and all of that. So definitely the expectations are really high. Of course, looking after the hospital and the issues that the hospital have there and all of that. So whoever takes on health, trust me, you have a huge, huge task. Education as well. Of course, we know during the campaign, the Bastia High School, that was a major topic. That was a hot button issue. Everybody was talking about the Bastia High School and, it being built where at the Bastia Aquifer. There was a lot of back and forth as to whether the construction of the Bastia High School would contaminate the Bastia Aquifer. So the Ministries of Health and Education are two major ministries that a lot of people will be paying their attention to, and will be, people anticipate to hear good things from those ministries are coming from the ministers. Also, the Attorney General, whoever gets that responsibility today, they too have a lot of work cut out for them, specifically as it relates to electoral reform. Of course, our style of how we, count ballots and all of that, very old and out of date. Let me stick a pin. I'll take this phone call. Caller, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devon. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. Giving thanks for life. What about you?
I am doing well.
Awesome. Good
I
to
am
hear.
excited of the upcoming swearing-in ceremony this afternoon. And as I was listening to you, Dr. Drew has certainly purported himself very, very well thus far, my humble opinion. He spoke to taking the Ministry of Health, and while I think that he would be one of the best persons among the team to do so, I am wondering if that would not be a very tall order for him with all of the other things that he would have to do as the Prime Minister.
Right.
So I am assuming at this point that he probably is going to have a junior Minister of Health to assist him with that portfolio. We certainly have a lot of work to do to clean up health in the Federation overall. And I would like to see some things forthcoming very quickly, because this is something that we've been doing and talking about and doing and talking about for years now. And Devon, I don't know what your thoughts are, but
well, I'll say
do you
this.
think that we would see a new hospital?
I'll say this much. I remember following the elections of 2015, the issues of health and even the facial issue, but most of the health issue, that was a major talking point. And even in 2020, where at that point in time, people were told, I'm not sure if you remember, Carl, but people were told that the healthcare issue would be fixed and new hospital, Don't get me wrong, I don't expect a new hospital to be built in a year's time or 2 years' time or even within that 5-year term. I'll just say that the expectations were really high following the elections of 2015 and 2020. And to be frank, not much has been done. I'm not saying that it will be the same. No. I'm just...
at the beginning of this, to every term, we have great expectations. And so far, what I've seen purported from the Sincus Nevis Labour Party, I was online with them quite a bit throughout their campaign, and they were very much on point with their campaign, the 7 pillars, and the candidates who came out and spoke to those issues. I was very impressed with how they purported themselves. I'm looking forward to seeing some great things happen. They, at this point, have no idea what they are going to find there. But I am to hope that we can move forward in a positive light. A positive light. God knows we've been through enough negatives over the last couple of years. And I'm wishing them well. I'm looking forward to viewing this afternoon's event, and all who would get what. And Samuel Duggins is one of the persons who impressed me with his delivery of what he would do with agriculture and the entertainment. I don't know many of these persons personally, but they seem to have done a lot of research and to prepare themselves. I wish them well, and I hope that we see that preparation. I hope we see what we saw before continuing on into them being on the job. A lot of us, when we go into an interview, we know how to talk real well, huh? So, I am looking forward to seeing that presentation continued on throughout government. I'll keep listening. Thanks a lot.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. We are still taking calls at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. This is Inside the News for Saturday, August 13, 2022. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. I wanted to add to what you were saying, caller, that I really want to encourage the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to be patient with the new government. Everything will not happen within the first 100 days or within the first year. Let me stick a pin. I'll head back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Devon. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Oh, yeah, giving God thanks, man. God
Awesome.
is good, you know.
Awesome. Good to hear. Yes.
He is the one who's in control. He put up, he take down, and the putting up and the taking down will continue. Now, let me start with what you're asking. Now, the opposition parties are supposed to be shadow government. You know that?
Yes, I'm aware.
Now, if you were acting as a shadow government, you should have had in-depth exposure to what each department does or ministry does. Isn't that so?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should be fishing at this hour because that's enough time. Because they said they've been ready a long time. So you shouldn't have anybody there who don't know. I mean, 2 of them didn't win their seat. All you have to do, those 2 would instruct. And in fact, all of them should have been exposed. But that's the problem we have in St. Kitts, you know. We take our people, put them to run, and then we expect great things. There is now, if Dr. Joe, I don't think he's thinking straight. Let me explain to you. Being the Prime Minister is a very expansive job. He has both national and extra-regional and international meetings and so to go to. Issues to address. So, according to the last one, the last 2, the last 3, they have national security, right? Prime Minister, national security, Ministry of Finance. Let me start with those 2. And the other one, does he intend to hold on to those 3 and then add health to it?
Well,
it's pure neglect.
We don't want to jump the gun by saying that.
No, we're doing analysis. Listen to me carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to me.
But you're suggesting that he's going to take on national security.
Listen to me. If he's going to hold the traditional 3, which would take up all his time.
Right.
And his attention. Now, if we are saying that health requires priority, then he cannot do it to the best of his ability. It's plain and simple. Then, therefore, the Ministry of Health should go to somebody else. As simple as that, because you asked a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go back again, you will notice that each of the former ministers, there were, how many of them? There were 4, 7, 9?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
All right. You see how many ministers each one had?
I can't recall. I think, 2 or 3? I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody had 1. But if you have 6 everybody got to be more versatile. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when we go and say, well, Jeffrey going to have education, Jeffrey has to have education, and maybe 3 more to go with it.
So what are you getting at? What is the point you're trying to make?
So listen what I'm saying. People are suggesting that 1 for a minister. I think Jeffrey should get education. If he can get education, he should also get health. He should also get...
Hold on. No. You're going too fast.
So
you're saying one... Hold on. Caller, hold on. You're saying 1 ministry per person? That's what you just said?
No. What I said, people have been suggesting.
No, people are not suggesting. I've never heard anybody suggest 1 ministry per person. And we know anybody with common sense would know. Caller. Anybody with common sense would know that is not realistic. I think people are referring to the major ministries like education, agriculture, health, and finance. But we know with those, for example, Ministry of Education, more than likely the person would get youth, sports, and those ministries.
I am saying, along with education, he should get health, culture. He was good at entrepreneurship. So I'm saying, I am making my suggestions as to what each should get. Now, the habit of getting advisors, it was done in 95. You bring in people who have no idea. They're going to advise on what they don't know. I don't think it's a good idea just to go in and remove all the permanent secretaries.
All right. Well, wait quickly because we want to take some calls, all right?
No, seriously. Because I hear people on another station advocating for it. These are the people who are the technicians. Now, if somebody was very political, you move them to another one where they're less effective. But to go and move all to put in your people, you are in fact delaying the growth of the country. So before it starts, because this afternoon you're going to hear, and the senators, I am advocating for there to be more women senators on both sides of the House. Because speaking out, they could hear before they go this afternoon. We want more women senators. And the Attorney General don't have to be a minister. But he's made a minister, but it is better to bring in a lawyer who is well-versed in the law. And to bring back the one that is being suggested, the one that was taken to the Privy Council. Don't make any sense. So, Mr. Prime Minister, congratulations to your mother. Eh? She must be very proud of you. Very, very proud of you. I am proud of you too, But I am saying, please do things carefully. You cannot carry health along with the heavy burden you have.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. We want to take some more calls. It's 11:45, 15 minutes left before the program. But with what the caller was saying, I don't think anybody is suggesting that 1 ministry is going to 1 person. As I was saying earlier, education would come with youth and sports and all of that. Let me stick a pin and take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Just a quick observation on your last caller. The Ministry of National Security under the previous Labour administration, I think 3 separate gentlemen held that ministry. I think it was Mr. Astafan, Mr. Condor, and then in the latter stages, the then Prime Minister Dr. Douglas. So the Prime Minister does not have to hold that ministry, and history shows us that it's not always the case. Now, on another observation, I love the idea of transparency, but however, transparency in our government system is impossible because the business of government is done in the cabinet. And this afternoon, every single member sworn into that cabinet is going to take an oath of secrecy. Well, if you're going to be secret, how can you be transparent? It's just a complete anomaly.
Repeat that. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay. this afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
every minister, and the Prime Minister has done it previously,
Right.
is going to take an oath of secrecy in Cabinet. The business of government is carried out in Cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
So if everything in Cabinet is secret, how on earth can you then be transparent? The two don't mix. It's oil and water.
Mm-hmm. I see where you're coming from.
Transparency is impossible, according to the oath that our ministers are going to take this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an anomaly. So transparency is a myth, unless we change the system and get rid of that oath.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
That's just an observation.
Right. Thank you so much, caller, for your contribution. Perhaps it's a case where people are referring to not trying to know the business of cabinet, but more so what happens within the different ministries and departments. Perhaps the same thing. Let's take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors. When we come back, we will take some more calls. Let's take this break and we'll be right back.
People make the world. Yes.
Gene.
Body spray's hot, boy. I can't take it.
Well, it's a good thing I called. The TDC Home and Building Depots are having their Cool 'em Down sale with 20% discount on fans, AC units, coolers, fridges, and more to beat this heat, girl.
Girl, Betty, you're making joke.
No, so stop sweating and let's go to the store now.
Ooh, you come pick me up, because may want to miss this sale at TDC Home and Building Depot.
Yeah, man. And don't forget you can also shop online too, using shoptdcgroup.com.
Cool.
Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects or sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Inside the News. Let's head straight to the phone lines. Caller? Okay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning to you. Yes, I just called to say that was an excellent point of observation from your last caller.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard the swearing into, that is the same thing that went to my mind. That there is like a conflict there, because if you're sworn to an oath of secrecy, and then we are talking about good governance and transparency, the two of them don't really mesh. But I sort of calm myself and I say, maybe the secrecy that is referred to is the decisions, whatever else has to do with national security.
Right. I think it's a case of where if a decision is made in cabinet and John Doe says no while everyone says yes, you as the Prime Minister or a cabinet member cannot come out and say, well, we said yes, but John Doe said no.
Right, okay. Yeah. I believe that is mostly has to do with national security, that sort of thing. Because, there's some things that should not come out when it has to do with our safety and security as a nation. You see what I mean? Because if it pertains to everything, then just like what happened before the last election, we would not have known some of these things that took place that they never would have. We should have known. We should have known anyway in terms of good governance and transparency, because they still came out in the end and spoke about these things. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. They still spoke about some of these things that took place there that they should have already been transparent about. So I think it has to do, the secrecy thing has to do in the interest of matters in referring to national security thing and so on.
Right.
All right.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. The phone lines are still open, and we're taking your calls at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. It's 11:52. Of course, we break at 12 for the headline news. Let's head back to the phone lines. We have a caller. A caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. It's me again. Will someone be assigned as the Minister of Nevis Affairs, since the CCM most likely would be on the opposition bench? Do you think somebody would be appointed as such?
I don't know.
Have you thought about it?
The conversation came about amongst some people recently, but I don't know. It's left to be seen what's going to take place this afternoon.
Would you like it to be done so?
Yeah, that's something that I definitely would welcome.
Yeah, so that there's somebody to whom, And foreign affairs. I don't know. There are people in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who are well trained.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they want to bring them into cabinet. But the mix, well, apart from Dr. Douglas, I don't think anybody else there is, I don't want you to do word qualified, experience enough to hold a position. And I am, do you think they're going to offer seats to CCM?
I don't know.
Would you be surprised if they did?
I really can't say because I really can't say. I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you.
What kind of sound you hear on the ground?
Mixed feedback where some are suggesting.
I know some of them talk about no.
You're gonna let me give me feedback?
Let me hear you one.
I'm saying mixed feedback in the sense that some are saying the CCM should be invited into the government, while others have a different opinion by saying no, they should not be. But different for the most part.
And I have also heard people saying, let them come in and don't give them any portfolio. They think they have to talk to children.
I've not heard that one.
Yeah, I heard it on the other side. They're saying, take them in, but don't give them no portfolio. I say, that's ridiculous. Knowing the vision, they will not stand for that. So you in there, you ain't got nothing to run. So I am waiting to hear, because I like the idea of young people, young people learning, but we have got to, in our political development, we have got to educate our people politically. It's done in Jamaica, as bad as this thing they are. Each party has an education arm where they don't just teach about them or they're the enemy, and they know. So when they elect you, you know what to do. When you go in the house, you already know how it is done. So this afternoon, I am listening. I have no preference in all. Only one thing I said before, Dr. Drew cannot be Minister of Health, which is the heavy duties assigned to his portfolio. Simple. All right, then.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. 11:56. Let me say thank you so much for your contribution to this program. This is the first hour. We'll take a break at 12, and when we come back, we will be taking some more calls. Of course, looking at today's inauguration ceremony. Let me state for the record, I don't know who's going to get what. We're just having a general conversation as to who we think may be assigned what portfolio. But I think Dr. Drew will make the right decisions in the best interest of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I don't see anything wrong with him being Prime Minister and Minister of Health at the same time. At the same time, I don't see him taking on several portfolios. I think it perhaps may be a case where if he takes on health, then he would allocate the ministries such as national security or sustainable development to other ministers, because we don't know that the Ministry of Health is a major ministry, and there's a lot of work in that ministry. At the same time, for those of you who understand how government functions, the minister doesn't really do any work. The minister is just the one to sign off and on the decisions and the policies. The bulk of the work is really done by the permanent secretary and the different directors or advisors within that particular ministry. So, but at the same time, you still need somebody to be the head and give directions. It would be, I think, perfect to have a medical doctor as the Minister of Health. That is between Dr. Terence Drew and Dr. Denzel Douglas. Dr. Drew hinted that he will be taking on health, and as I said earlier, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley would be taking on the Ministry of Education. As I said, I think Dr. Drew will make the best decision in the best interest of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis when he is allocating the different portfolios. Listening to an interview with him as well, I think the question came about surrounding senior civil servants that were part of the campaign with different political parties, whether it be with his party, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, or the other parties, the People's Action Movement and the People's Labour Party. Of course, if you are a civil servant, duly appointed and all of that, you just can't go in and fire these people. You can't do that. But there are some political positions that Dr. Drew spoke about that, if you are politically appointed, for example, political positions are like press secretaries and special advisor and all of that. Those are political positions. So you know that if the government change, then you too would change. You too would have to go with the change of administration. But he spoke about that. He made mention that they won't be firing, because you really can't fire permanent secretaries. You could ask that they be relocated to a different ministry or whatever. But I've been seeing a lot of chatter on social media that the Prime Minister and the new government should go in there and clean house and fire this and fire that and fire this and fire that. You won't see any of that really happening, to be realistic with you. You won't see any of that happening. It's not a case where every time government change, you could just go in there and pick and choose and fire this and fire that. But for the political positions, people who were appointed politically, as I said, those advisor jobs and all of that, of course, those would change. But this afternoon is inauguration, and we do look forward to what will happen and who will get what and whatever. But as I said, I think the Prime Minister will make the best decision in the best interests of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. It is the top of the hour. It's 12 o'clock. We'll take this break now for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue inside the news right here on WINN FM 98.9. Stick and stay. We have the headline news coming up. I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. I will be checking the comments on Facebook and YouTube in the second hour, and to see if anybody sent any other message. Let's take this break, and we will be right back.
You found the sound. 98.9. WINN FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Daily low with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The Nevis Solid Waste Management Authority, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We're encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the following locations: in Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and the Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. In St. Kitts, every second and fourth Tuesday at the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottles, flatware, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. So think smart. Take PAT, reduce, reuse, recycle.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
With the WINN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
I am Devon Cornelius.
Making the headlines:
Traffic management plan to facilitate inauguration ceremony.
Preliminary CXC results to be released to regional education ministers on September 1. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force praises public on their display of good behavior during the election season. Jamaica and the Cayman Islands working on tourism collaboration to boost the industry in both countries. British Airways announces new Caribbean flights, and more from Primetime Caribbean. Internationally, French firefighters fear thunderstorms and strong winds could reignite an inferno in the southwest. Officials say the fire has not spread significantly overnight, but that could change quickly. Now, the details.
The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has outlined traffic restrictions to facilitate the hosting of the inauguration ceremony of the members of Cabinet of the newly elected government. The inauguration ceremony is Saturday, August 13th, 2022 at the Warner Park Cricket Stadium, slated to begin at 4 p.m.
And I'll read from my document here. For road closure, you would have Lozak Road would be closed to the general public, East Park Range, and the street north of NHC between East Park Range and Wellington Road. Parking restrictions, there will be no parking permitted on the following streets. Eastern side of Victoria Road between the Carnival City Gate and Lozak Road. Park Range, that's the western side between Bastille High and Lozak Road. Lozak Road between Park Range and the police station, or what we call Hart Street.
Superintendent Travis Rogers of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force also outlined the management plan to facilitate the flow of traffic.
Then you will have the flow of traffic. The flow of traffic will be one way around the entire stadium. So let's say we're on Victoria Road, you'll be only allowed to travel going to the north, like heading from Amri's Bakery, going north. Eastwards along the north of NHC, that piece of road north of NHC, you're only allowed to travel going eastwards, that heading towards Wellington Road, and southward along Park Range. So you'll be only allowed to travel from Taylor's Way down to Park Range.
Patrons and especially invited guests attending the inauguration ceremony will be allowed to park inside the stadium on the party stand, which is the eastern section. You will travel down to Park Range and enter the gate on your right. VVIP will be parked on the eastern side of the cricket stadium in front of the manual cricket scoreboard. Patrons and especially invited guests are encouraged to be seated by 3 p.m.
The other VIPs will be allowed to park on the party mound, and that will be controlled by protocol persons and police officers to ensure that the parking is done properly. There would also be parking for government officials within their Warner Park itself, that is the Carnival City. So your entrance will be on Victoria Road, and that main gate when you enter Carnival City, and then you'll be allocated parking just next to the tennis court, and the others will be parked in the Carnival City. There will also be limited parking at the Marathon Gate. That is the big gate just as soon as you left Lozak Road. On your right, that's called the Marathon Gate. There will be limited parking there, but persons who would access all of these parking will be given car passes. So you're able to give those car passes or show those car passes to the police or the protocol persons, and they would allow you in and give you direction as to where exactly you can park.
According to a press release from the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, the marking and grading process for the recent CXC examinations are still underway and is in line with the schedule previously announced. The announced schedule for the release of the grades were set for the last week of August or the first week of September for preliminary results of the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate, CSEC, and Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, CCSLC. Regional Ministers of Education should receive the preliminary results on September 1 for review and provide feedback as necessary in preparation for a joint ministers' meeting on September 2nd. Preliminary results for those who requested the early release of results will also be made available to universities at the same time as the ministries of education to facilitate enrollment of candidates at tertiary institutions. Candidates can access their preliminary results online at www.cxc.org/students-results. The general consensus from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is that the behavior of the public over the course of the election was fair. Superintendent Cromwell Henry of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force said despite much talk that the police would have lots of work to do for the election, that was proven not to be true.
I'm always support the philosophy that if you educate the public, you would have less enforcement. And so an educated public would turn out to be a well-behaved public, and we have proven that. We were hearing that this election is going to be messy and police going to have a lot of work on their hands to do. But I was always confident in our people. I know our people know when to behave, and our people can behave, and they have proven me correct. They have listened to our admonishments. They have cooperated. On election day.
The superintendent of police confirmed that there was no crime and violence committed on election day, adding that the police had no challenges in getting individuals to follow orders.
I haven't heard of any instance where the police had difficulty in getting persons at the polling station or anywhere else to cooperate. Whatever the police asked, persons cooperated. There was no violence. Of course, there was a few flare-ups here and there. And, emotions would flare at times, and that is expected. That is understandable, but it was controlled emotions. Persons did not reach to the point where they became physical and violate other persons' rights.
According to Superintendent Henry, leading up to the election day, there were a few instances where the police had to address reports of vandalism or removal of party signs. There was also a fire, which Henry said is still under investigation. As such, the superintendent explained that those incidents were not widespread and prevalent, and commended the public on their good behavior.
We cannot say thank you enough to our people, and we really urge you to continue this good behavior. We know that there are some persons who will not be as jubilant, as happy. We want to thank those persons for their restraint also. In sports, some would win and some would lose.
Right.
And how you take your beating sometimes is what makes you the person. And so we ask those persons who may not have been as successful as they would have liked to take it in good faith and let us resolve to get up and dust off and continue the nation building, which is all of us responsibility.
In regional news, Jamaica and the Cayman Islands working on tourism collaboration to boost the industry in both countries. British Airways announces new Caribbean flights and more from Primetime Caribbean.
Jamaica and the Cayman Islands have initiated discussions to facilitate collaboration on tourism to boost their respective tourism sectors. Among the areas being examined for cooperation are multi-destination tourism, airlift, enhancing border protocols, rationalizing airspace, as well as resilience building. Jamaica's Minister of Tourism, Edmund Bartlett, made the disclosure on Wednesday during a meeting with members of a special delegation from the Cayman Islands, led by Deputy Premier Christopher Saunders. He said special focus will be placed on multi-destination tourism, adding that he will be meeting with key players in the industry in Cayman next month. The Tourism Minister added that he is ready to work with Cayman to sign a memorandum of understanding in relation to multi-destination tourism. Jamaica has already signed 4 similar agreements with Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, and Panama. Bartlett explained that in developing the framework, the Ministry of Tourism is seeking to include the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and Belize from this side of the Caribbean. Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Farley Augustine, has strongly objected to a view that Trinidad should take the lead in Tobago's carnival. According to Augustine, Tobago is more than capable based on other cultural celebrations it hosts during the year. Earlier this week, NCC Chairman Winston Gypsy Peters said he felt disheartened and in the dark about plans for Tobago Carnival after the THA had failed to resume talks on the event with the national body. But speaking at Thursday's post-Executive Council media briefing, Augustine responded directly to an interview he saw Peters give on TV.
I saw where Mr. Peters was almost saying, look, we know about carnival, let we come and do the carnival for you. And I take strong objections to that sort of philosophy. In the Tobago space,
he said Tobago has been hosting festivals much longer than many other territories in the region. Augustine also said that the THA also has more festivals than central government in any single calendar year.
And if after having Festival Commission, a Carnival Committee, we have TPAC committee and all of these creatives in the space. If the creatives in the space cannot host and manage a Tobago Carnival, then we need to shut down all of these establishments, just shut all of them down and start from scratch. In fact, send everybody home and let Trinidad come and do the work.
Tobago Carnival 2022 will officially be launched at the Shaw Park Cultural Complex on August 17th.
And that will come along with some surprises, some wonderful surprises. You will see some things being cleverly done that will allow for the media to understand and have an appreciation of where we are going with Carnival.
He said when his team returns from Grenada's Spice Mass, they will be mandated to produce a formal report on what transpired. British Airways has announced that from 2023, it will begin flights to Aruba and Guyana with a new direct route to Trinidad and Tobago. The new routes will bring the total number of Caribbean destinations served by British Airways to 17, the airline said in a press release. The airline, which is the biggest UK carrier to the Caribbean, will fly from Trinidad to London, Gatwick, beginning March 26. Flights will operate 3 times per week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. The route was formerly via St. Lucia. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness is calling for political consensus in dealing with the matter of crime in the country. Holness, who was speaking at the public presentation on the National Commission on Violence Prevention at the Banquet Hall, Jamaica House, noted that, quote, "We haven't been able to get a political consensus," unquote.
We are attempting it. We have a framework in place. We have CMAC, but we haven't reached genuine consensus on how to tackle crime.
Holness said it is hoped that once the political class is confronted with factual data, recommendations and conclusions from the Commission, which is an independent body, it would then look at it and come to a reasonable understanding as to what implementations are needed. The Prime Minister noted that reaching an agreement is important in ensuring continuity of policy measures when administrations change.
So there are some things that you can put in law, but governments that I would want to use this launch and platform to say, because that is going to be a signal important achievement for the country, and it doesn't have to be anybody getting any political benefit off of it.
We now bring you these international reports.
Firefighters in southwest France are using everything they can lay their hands on to beat back these rapidly spreading fires. 75 square kilometres of the Gironde region looks like this. Drought and extreme temperatures have created an easily combustible mixture.
The day risks being complicated because the temperatures are going up and precipitation is dropping.
Firefighters from across Europe, these are Romanian, have been drafted in to help fight the flames.
An area that's already caught fire, and it caught fire again, so the firefighters have had to come back and douse the flames. One of the challenges for them is because the temperatures are so high and the ground is so dry, as soon as the water hits the ground, it evaporates, so it takes a lot more water and a lot more effort to put out the flames.
The risk of new fires is very severe, according to the local authorities. 10,000 people have been evacuated from their homes.
Fires are still active along the edge of the 40-kilometer perimeter. They're advancing little by little, so we are trying to keep the same priorities we had at the start. That is to protect the people who've been evacuated, and we'll keep protecting all these homes.
Villagers here know they've had a lucky escape. These signs are everywhere, thanking the fire service for saving their homes.
It's the first time I've seen a catastrophe like that. Above all, a catastrophe for the biodiversity. It's an enormous catastrophe. We're not going to have any forest left. It's really serious.
I'm clearing away burnt trees from the roads so that firefighters and volunteers and farm workers can get through and put out as much of the fire as they can.
The forests will eventually recover, but as the planet warms and the extreme weather becomes more frequent, it might not be long before flames are licking up these trees again. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera, in the Gironde, southwest France.
Hello and welcome. Lawyers for the former US President Donald Trump have released the search warrant used to raid his Florida home. It could confirm the reason for Monday's search of Mr. Trump's Florida compound. Now, as you can imagine, we're only just getting this information right now. And just to re-emphasize, this is a slightly unusual thing, the unsealing of a warrant in the middle of an investigation. So what we're doing, as we see the lines come out, we will give them to you. One of the lines that we're seeing says that the Trump probe involves alleged violations of the potential, I should say, violations of the Espionage Act. That's according to one reading of the warrant. The warrant also authorized the collection of Roger Stone clemency document in search of Trump Florida home. And there have been plenty of background to this. You might remember that raid was conducted earlier in the week. The former president was served that warrant. And there's been plenty of speculation as to what that warrant would include. The Attorney General came out the other day and talked about why it was important for this investigation to go ahead and why he, Merrick Garland, personally signed off on the search. Mr. Trump has denied wrongdoing. Now, we're going to look to the US media as well, because the Wall Street Journal has reported that items removed by Federal Bureau of Investigation agents from Mar-a-Lago, the compound, include 20 boxes, binders of photos, and a clemency letter, as I said just now, written on behalf of the political strategist Roger Stone. Also recovered was information about the President of France. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, although it's unclear exactly what that refers to. The list shows that one list of documents marked TS/SCI, that stands for top secret / sensitive compartmented information, a classification level reserved for information that could cause exceptionally grave damage to US security. The list also said to include 4 sets of top secret documents, 3 sets of secret documents, and 3 sets of confidential documents, I should say. Well, a little earlier, I spoke, before we knew the exact contents, I spoke to the lawyer and former federal prosecutor David Weinstein. He discussed what the likely political implications of this could be.
Well, certainly a lot of allegations are being made across the board against the FBI as to how they conducted the raid, as to the Department of Justice and the Attorney General, as to why they used a search warrant instead of just continuing to try to seek the return of these documents with a subpoena. And in order to level the playing field here and to make everyone aware of what procedures and protocols were followed, that's why the Attorney General had to come out. I mean, above all, politics doesn't belong in the justice system. The justice system and the judges and the prosecutors and the defense attorneys are supposed to operate above all that. It's a place for facts to be presented and the law to be argued, not for partisan politics to be involved.
And we're talking about warrants and redactions and documents. Is there any kind of timeline you can imagine or infer towards potential actual charges?
Well, one would think that they've been presenting evidence to a grand jury up to this point. At some point, they will present a proposed indictment to this grand jury to find out whether they believe that a crime was committed by people named in the proposed indictment. I think one thing that people aren't really concerned about or not looking at right now is that we have a general election coming up in November. There is an internal rule at the Department of Justice that you don't interfere with candidates who are involved in general elections. Now, in this particular election, the person whose property they were seeking is not a candidate for any office. However, Democrats and Republicans are candidates for office. And so to avoid any appearance of impropriety, of favoring one party over the other, the Department of Justice might delay the presentation of and obtaining formal charges against anybody until after the conclusion of the election. So it's likely that we're not going to see any formal charges necessarily in the next month or so, but certainly after November and after the elections in November, if there are going to be any charges filed, that's when I would expect to see them released.
David Weinstein there.
Fireworks lit up the Konya sky as Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan inaugurated the Islamic Solidarity Games. 4,000 athletes from 56 Muslim-majority countries are taking part in the tournament. For 25-year-old Saudi weightlifter Anush Shehri, these games are very important.
Unity and getting to know each other more and make a community with this sport and other sports.
It's Anush's first international competition. But there are more experienced athletes as well. Ahmed Bahlou's grandparents were forced to leave their home in Haifa, Israel, during the Six-Day War of 1967. They settled in the Askar refugee camp in Nablus in the occupied West Bank. His parents were born and raised there, as was Ahmed himself. A lifelong dream was realized when the Palestinian Taekwondo Federation started Ahmed fighting in 2018. Since then, the 20-year-old has participated in 7 international competitions and won 6 medals, including 1 gold.
The difficulties we face are tremendous. International travel is one of the main problems, as getting a permit from Israel authorities is not easy. We have limited resources and poor facilities to train and prepare for the games. But despite these obstacles, we have achieved great success. And in these games in Konya, I will do my best to win a gold medal.
Ahmed has also set his sights on representing Palestine at the 2024 Olympics in Paris. The Islamic Solidarity Games isn't a high-profile competition, but for many young athletes, it's an opportunity to showcase their talent. Millions of Muslims have been suffering from poverty, political instability, and even civil wars for decades, despite the availability of tremendous human and natural resources. Some say this is because of a lack of unity, solidarity, and coordination. And the organizers of this game say their aim is to build bridges among the Muslim-majority countries by bringing them together through sports. Rasul Sardar, Al Jazeera, Konya.
You were listening to the WINN FM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were:
Traffic management plan to facilitate inauguration ceremony.
Preliminary CXC results to be released to regional education ministers on September 1. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force praises public on their display of good behavior during the election season. Jamaica and the Cayman Islands working on tourism collaboration to boost the industry in both countries. British Airways announces new Caribbean flights, and more from Primetime Caribbean. Internationally, French firefighters fear thunderstorms and strong winds could reignite an inferno in the southwest. Officials say the fire has not spread significantly overnight, but that could change quickly. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINN FM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We are encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every second and fourth Tuesday each month at the following locations in St. Kitts: the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. In Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, Ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottle, flatware set, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
The South 98.9 WINN FM.
We are saddened to announce the passing of the late Mutrice Herbert, who leaves to mourn 2 children, Evadine and Trevon Herbert, 5 grandchildren, Tichelle, Kiera, Javin, Olivia and Mateo Herbert, and 2 daughters-in-law, Carol and Tony Herbert, 6 beloved sisters, Vanessa James, Idris Skeet, Angie Johnson, Jennifer and Mercelyn Herbert, and Vancelyn Knight. Many nieces and nephews and family and friends, too numerous to mention. The funeral service for the late Mutrice Herbert of Cabbage Tree, Keon, will be held on Tuesday, August 16th at 1 p.m. at the Keon Bethesda Moravian Church. Please come and celebrate the life of Mutrice with her family and friends as we lay a beautiful soul to rest.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
People make the world go
Class, it's that time of year again to get everything you need for back to school. Go to the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited or shop tdcgroup.com. Shop and get deep discounts for all your school essentials. Backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, computers, and more. While you're there, be sure to donate to Shop and Share to help the less fortunate and stay ahead of the grade. Oh, and don't forget, Flash Sale Fridays. Now that you know, class is dismissed. See you at the TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It's 12:40 and we are going to head back to the phone lines to take some more calls. Let's take this first call for the afternoon. The caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Devon. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. I'm really happy to be here. And you?
I'm blessed. I didn't listen to the morning program. But question, anyone, I don't think Dr. Joe will take finance.
I don't know. Usually it is It is customary that the whoever's prime minister is not by law, but usually the prime minister takes finance.
I don't think to me that's a big that to me that one is a big one for him. Well, anyway, I wish him all the best. But listen here, another thing. National security, right? Prime minister does take national security, right? How many of our past prime ministers know how to handle a gun?
I don't understand what you mean.
You know, okay, he's taking national security, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know if he's taking.
I'm not saying him. I'm not saying national security.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just saying how many of our past prime ministers, the minister for national security, I think they're supposed to have some kind of training in security.
I disagree, because remember, as a minister of government, you're not in the field. You're just the person signing off on the different policies and programs that are to be implemented. So you don't necessarily have to have any training in any of the ministries. The training and the expertise usually are, not usually, but supposed to come from whoever is the permanent secretary. So it is expected that whoever is the PS or director for that ministry or department, they have experience or whatever. But the Minister of National Security does not necessarily have to have any training on how to handle a gun or anything like that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, caller, for your contribution to this program. We are still taking your calls here on Inside the News here on WINN FM 98.9. It's 11:43. Of course, we head right up until 1:30. We will be, of course, continuing the conversation where we left off from just before the news break, having a conversation surrounding the inauguration that is taking place today for the newly elected members of the National Assembly on the government bench. Let's head back to the phone line to take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again. Yes, your last caller, she made some important observations, and I agree with her. And like the Ministry of Finance, it may not be law, as it is said, but so far it's like it's customary for the Prime Minister to take the Ministry of Finance. I know when Mr. Denzel Douglas was the PM at one point, he gave it over to one of his ministers. But the thing about it is, I do agree with her in that whoever takes the Ministry of Finance, they should have some semblance of money management, how to spend money. You see? Now, if they don't have any formal education or training in that area, it should be a matter of common sense, because I know a lot of our foreparents, they did not go to university and whatsoever, and they knew how to manage money. Right? So whomsoever the person is needs to know how to manage money. The same thing for the Minister of National Security. You should be in a position to know to handle a gun. Now, everybody may not know that that person knows how to handle a gun, but I believe that person should. The Minister of Health should have some knowledge of health, or if not, is open to learn. It's open to learn if they don't have that if they don't have the qualification, academic qualification in that area or training. They should be able to get persons to work in that field who know what they're doing, and when they might advise him on whatever, he can be in a position to really depend. I don't really want to say trust. Some people will say trust, but depend on what that person is saying to know that it is factual or accurate. You see? So, I don't know, but I just hope that it works out well. I wish the team all the best, and whatever.
Caller. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Hello, caller, you there still? Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. We're still taking your calls here on Inside the News on WINN FM 98.9. A conversation surrounding the portfolios for this afternoon. There are fair points made by the callers thus far. Before I add my take, let's head back to the phone lines. The caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius. Good afternoon. I would just like to reiterate. What I said earlier.
Caller, you've already made that point. All right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
You've already made that point. Do you have something else to add to the program?
Well, true that it is just one topic. It is very limited and there isn't anything much.
Well, you've already made that point, so we'll make room for somebody else to make a different point, all right?
Okay.
All right, thank you for your contribution. We're still taking your calls here on Inside the News on WINN FM 98.9. The phone lines are open at 466-0989 or 762-0989 and 662-0989. So fair point made by the callers, usually when this time comes around where different portfolios or ministries are being assigned, people would normally say, well, the Ministry of Health should go to somebody who has experience in health or somebody who is a medical doctor or somebody who has some kind of experience or training or whatever. Let me hold that thought. There's some callers coming in. Let's take this caller. The caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon again. How was the lunch?
It was good, thanks.
You had soup today? I got to give some direction to my house,
I actually had soup. Yes, I had soup. I had soup.
But I want Nevis one. I want Sankis one. Yeah, I want kind of cooking Sankis. I want some Nevis soup. I remember my days going to Nevis to spend my vacation in Back Village and getting real Nevis food. All right. If I get any more Nevis food, they can't control me. Now, you made an important point. I think people don't understand how government works, And even in the ministries, there are technicians.
Right.
Professional people who actually do the work, who the permanent secretary depend on. So sometimes people make a mistake and you move the wrong man and the thing collapse.
The whole thing collapse, yeah.
Now, the minister, what he needs to know is the working of the ministry. Because even when it comes to doing policy, he don't sit down one person make policy, some people don't know.
Right.
Some of them are made regionally, internationally,
The minister is just the person to sign off and say.
OECS, take the Ministry of Education. There is an OECS Ministry of Education where the plans are discussed, the policies are made.
Right.
You got the IMF coming with what needs to be done. What you need are competent people working in the ministries. And sometimes the politics are entering, And people put in places where they're not trained. And so you learn as you go along, because I say it again, they do not need any advisors. And another thing while I'm at it, there's always a cry of hiring old people. But please don't bring back no old people, neither on your board, nor as permanent secretaries. Give the young people a chance. Give the young people, some of them that are already collecting their social security and the government pension, so they get 2. They want 3. Make in terms of your ambassadors, give young people a chance, because there's a well-developed Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Stop using these party hacks who only go to oppress people. So I want to see, and by the way, the Ministry of Social Services, which includes gender and everything, I suggest you have a female as a minister, because it takes a woman to understand women problems and family problems. So you bring in a senator and you make her a junior minister, in social services. Because whenever you got a lot of men, this man's story, men, it doesn't mean that you must just give a Marsha, Sister Marsha, social service alone. Something where she can expand her knowledge. But darling, the permanent secretaries, they are there to carry out orders. And they pass them down to the ministries where they are technicians. So don't worry. The government could actually want without ministers, people don't know that. You know that, right?
Right. I was trying to make the point to somebody the other day that
Some people don't know, they don't know.
The government is really run by the permanent secretaries.
Yeah, and working with the technicians.
Right.
So, darling government, if everybody die in a plane tonight, the government continue, the government continued. So please, don't bother go and harass the gentleman to turn away all the permanent secretaries. I saw it happen in 1995. That's what I'm talking, In 1995, they turned away all, and they were females, turned away all of them. They didn't turn away. They send people from the top, go and teach up high school, go and teach, you know what I mean? They embarrass them so much. You could imagine one day you run in our ministry, next day say, you go and teach this and teach that. Demotion. That's a form of victimization. So please, Dr. Drew, you're starting off good. Please don't let the old heads them push you to do what you know what is right. You know what is right. So please, I want 2 women senators in there accounting, One over on the opposition side. By the way, how they going to work out the senators over there?
I am not sure. Well, at first they have to work out the leader.
Well, the leader, he got 3 seats, so he got it.
Oh, yes, it's usually the person who commands the majority, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, he could give it to Sean, but he has to be first consulted. But it's the one who commands. One man can't command nobody. Sean really can't command CCM, but CCM could. You understand what I mean?
All right.
So please, y'all get the women involved. All right, then.
All right, thank you, Carter, for your contribution. But an interesting point that I made the other day, and I was having a conversation with some people where I was stressing the point that the ministers, they don't really, I don't want to put it like this, but to be frank, the ministers don't really do anything. The ministers are usually the ones that would provide some sort of direction. They can always suggest to the permanent secretary or the technical people, hey, I would like to see this implemented in the Ministry of Health. Tell me what resources would it take? Tell me what needs to be done, advise me, and all of that. There's a comment here that stood out from Evan Roberts. He says, the Minister of Security, or of National Security, I think he meant, does not need to know how to use a gun. He should know the staff he has in the civil service. He or she should know the experts working in the system and let them manage these things. Same for the different ministries. Why are these people saying these ministers don't have no idea of how to do their work? So yes, it's not a case where the Minister of Health has to be a doctor, the Minister of Finance has to be an accountant, because the actual work, no minister sits down and drafts a plan to manage the hospital or anything like that. The work is really done by the permanent secretaries, and the directors, department heads, the technical people, the people with the experience. And so your job as the minister of whatever ministry is to understand how your ministry functions, because the Ministry of Health would operate or function different to the Ministry of Finance. So you would first have to understand how your ministry functions. You would first have to understand as well the people within your ministry and what they do and what they are responsible for, Because basically you're the person managing and overseeing the operations of that ministry, working closely, of course, with the permanent secretary. What we do not want to see, regardless of our political affiliation, is the appointment of people just for political purposes, where they have no training, no expertise, no knowledge, nothing at all to manage some ministries. I'm not saying that will be the case. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that this is something that I think would be a total disaster. A total disaster. But yeah, the minister doesn't necessarily have to have any knowledge, or no, not saying knowledge, but any in-depth experience of any ministry that they are being assigned. But it does not remove the point or the argument being advanced that it would be nice or it would be good for the health ministry to go to somebody who's a medical doctor. And if that is the case, then you can say that, well, we would expect more coming from this ministry. Because not only do you have the PS, of course, who has training and experience in health and public health and all of that, but you have the minister who is a medical doctor and has years of experience in that field. So to the ministers, they would have to, understand how these ministries function. And I realized the point earlier it was being suggested that the ministers that are being sworn in this afternoon don't know how the government functions. I think some of them were civil servants. And so I would assume that they really understand how the government functions. I don't think it is a case of where they're just throwing people into the government. When you, as a caller said earlier, listening to the campaign, when I listen to those who are now elected members, they all gave really good plans of what they intend to do should they assume office. And you could tell based on what they said, they did their research, they spoke with experts and people who are knowledgeable in the field, and they presented it to the people. Of course, some of them most of them are new to government, and so they will still have to find their footing. But I really don't think it's a case of where they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. Absolutely not. I don't think so. That may be your position, but I don't think so. Again, they would have the direction of the permanent secretary or the department head. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this caller. Caller, you are on the air. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon again. Yes, I fell out earlier. The last caller. Cool out here. Cool out. But, Mr. Moderator, based on what you said, what you explained a while ago, and what your last caller also explained, then if we really have to take all of what was said into consideration, then all of them, they have to go, all of them PS and all of them, they have to go. Because it means that they put forward some policies that were not in the best interest of the country. And when you have to look at the Ministry of Finance, so if based on what you all said, so who was responsible for all of this quantumania with all of this money? And as it was said, money just disappeared into a black hole. So who was responsible? So whoever was responsible, they need to go. So if it was the PS and the heads of department and whatever, they're the ones who come up with the policies and all of these things. It cannot be that the minister overrode. Let's say they put forth the right kinds of policies. Am I to believe or accept that it's the minister who overrode all of what these people said and just did what they wanted? As far as I'm concerned, whomsoever is the minister of finance needs to understand what money management is all about. They need to know what finance is all about. Have something. They could even go and do the reading themselves. Because they don't have to go to...
Caller? Yeah, caller, I think you may have to check your phone. I realized this happened earlier where you got caught. I still have you here on the line, but I'm not hearing you. So please, you can call back 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. Another comment says the Prime Minister has his plan and knows who to place in what position to accomplish the plan. Let me try to get some of the other comments that are here on the live stream. A comment said that, okay, that was referring to with voters. Okay. Travis Gibson says St. Kitts and Nevis has led responsibilities for health in the CARICOM quasi cabinet, which is represented by the PM. So what is so strange if a medical doctor takes on the Ministry of Health in their own cabinet? Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this call. The caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
I apologize. Yes, good afternoon. I apologize. It's really the phone.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Sometimes it behaves like its head isn't good. It behaves crazy sometimes. Yes, so I don't know if you caught the last part that I was saying, that whomsoever is the Minister of Finance, I believe they should have some knowledge of finance and money management. It's very, very important because we do not have, and even if we had natural resources, okay, and monies might come in, nothing remains forever. And especially now what we are faced with. I personally, I have said long ago, and even today, and I still hold fast to it, I never believe in the sale of what they call citizenship or passport. Be it as it is happening, income is coming in. But I don't think this will last forever. And whomsoever is the Minister of Finance, you know, whether they have advisors in that ministry or not, right? Because like you said, they don't have to have advisors, because I don't know what some of them do. Because it seems like the advice that they give them in amount too much or anything. Only unless the politician or the minister overrides the advice that is given them, right? But I think, listen, a lot of trimming has to take place. People are going to say victimization, but all I am saying, if you do right, you're going to get opposition. And that's a sign, too, that you're doing right. If they stay focused and they stay the course, all of their opposition, or most of them, they will have no choice. They either shut up or they get on board. So they have to make sure that whatever they set out to do, they do it. They will have to make changes. It's a given. They will have to send some people home. It's a given. And those who go home, they're going to cry victimization. But you look and see who cry victimization. People who don't get pension, they don't get a gratuity, they get in government, maybe social security pension, they're in a job still, right? They don't owe anything for mortgage. They don't, the children are grown. And these are the people who will make noise and cry victimization. When they can step aside and let somebody else young come in. If they're still young, they have age, but they're still young. This is the time that they can go and do something for themselves. They have a brain, use it. You see? I heard someone talk about, the job being threatened. And when you look at this person, the person is getting pension. The person has two other sources of income, or maybe more than two, but at least two that they're doing for themselves. And they're still in government thing. And they have age. They neither got chick now come. They don't offer mortgage. So even if they tell you to step aside and give a young person, what is wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that. You have lived your life. How much more money you want? This is the time now where you should be able to enjoy life. You have more than enough. Your bank book full. Enjoy life and give a young person a chance, because this federation, the country cannot absorb everybody as a workforce. We should understand that. There are people who have gotten all over the years, and they still want to get. There's a change of government, they still want to get. Man, step aside. Some people out who not working, Some for more than 2 years not working, Nobody hear them bawling and crying. But them who had for all these years, they still want more. I mean, we must live and let our brother and our sister live. What we wouldn't want for ourselves, we must not give. I wish this new team all the best, but to tell you the truth, my spirit is not really settled as yet. It's not settled. And I hope they be vigilant with what they're doing, because some of these same people, they are going to pretend, they want to stay in, they want to come in, and they're the ones, if they don't be careful, they're going to make a mess of things. So I just hope that the ministers of government, they will be strong enough, mentally, psychologically, when they see something is going astray, or going haywire, step your foot down. If you have to say, well, listen, you have to go, you have to go. Because the thing about it is, if somebody is not for you, it doesn't matter how much good you do for them, they're not going to be for you. So it doesn't make no sense to waste time in life. We cannot make someone a priority who does not even consider us as an option. We are not even an option to them, so we cannot make those people priority. But some of these people, they have to go. Some of the PSs, heads of department, for a fact, they have to go. Because if we have to say the onus was on them to help run this country, well, a lot of them did a terrible job. They made a mess. So they have to go. Have a blessed day, Mr. Moderator.
Caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 8 minutes past the hour of 1 here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. This is Inside the News. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program today. If it is one thing that I would agree with a lot of people who have made the point, is giving young people a chance. I know oftentimes we would say the person has to be experienced, but how does one get experience? Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon again to all the listeners. Good afternoon, the last caller. I listened to her, deciding who got to go. Remember Sharon Rattan case, Remember it?
Yes.
Since the young man from Labour, Nathan Leonato, took the government to court, a lot of things they can't do. They just can't send you home and turn you away. It's one thing to put somebody to sit down and give them the whole salary for a year, 2 years. Which to me make no sense. Better than they let you. I mean, if it was me, I would have been glad. Imagine you're home for a year, 2 years, and you get in your full salary because they can't pay no less. So until the government has enough to pay, all who are asking to send home. Remember the lawyers on Saturday line up, Now this thing with the Ministry of Finance. I don't know if you asked somebody asked the question. Now there is a financial secretary. You know that position, right?
Yes.
She's over the whole Ministry of Finance, including the Treasury and everything. Now the Prime Minister, remember that she then worked from the budget. So money is released or withheld based on, one, the availability of funds, and two, the budgeted amount. Two things she did with, right? Anything other than that, the Prime Minister will have to give his consent. What is called a supplementary budget or voucher. So if the money was not budgeted for, they will have to seek a supplementary amount. So she doesn't have to call, but she has to make regular report to the Prime Minister, whoever the Minister of Finance is, on the state of the finances, how much we owe, what is our debt balance, all of that. What is the inflow, what are the expectations, and even she advised, look, well, we can't, because all the spending are being offered. In her position, she can advise whether she thinks it is a good idea or not. She doesn't have to jump at everything the Prime Minister says. Well, we're going to spend 12 million. She said, well, Mr. Prime Minister, we only have 10. She cannot go and borrow without his consent. So he works along with her. But remember, it is her job to manage the finances of the country.
All right.
And the government statutory bodies. So he don't got to walk around all day and wonder if we got money. All they have to do is just call the financial secretary. Nevis has one, Senkis has one, all governments. Now, Dr. Harris served, I think it's once or twice on the Labour, or 2 years. And Dr. Douglas is moving from that position because he said that he was making certain decisions in the inauguration. But as the Minister of Finance, he had the right. You understand? He really didn't have to go and discuss it with the Prime Minister. He was a minister. Mm-hmm. Because we have this thing of mini management, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some people want to be over everything. It happens in businesses, in shops, in ministries. But if the ministers are allowed to do their ministry, then you can hold them responsible. But if everything they do, they have to report and get consent. I mean, then they're not really a minister. And this thing about the thing in Parliament, the secrecy. I have never known a government where they don't talk. They say it. They can give, you don't have cabinet report, eh? But sometimes what should really happen is that some of the decisions that they end up making in cabinet should have been first discussed with the public. Because an investor comes in, he makes a proposition to cabinet for certain incentives. And we are shocked when we find out on SKNIS, they should be clearly marked, because there is at Skipper, used to be called Trade and Industry. The number of incentives and the kind are given. But when you hear, it depends on the minister of the Prime Minister to give. Sometimes the minister for the same ministry is surprised. You know, so
all right.
Our people, we are being left in the dark. Some of us like it so. When you are bold enough to ask for information, what you're going on with, what you want to know. What we want to know is what people in other countries know. Once you travel, you know that. You travel to other countries. When the IMF come here, I could tell you, all that they don't tell us, they tell the IMF. You know that?
Yeah. All right. We'll want to take a break. When we come back, we'll take some more calls. Thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 11:15. We'll take this break to... Sorry, it's 1:15. My apologies. It's 1:15. We'll take this break, and we will be right back. Stick and stay.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drug Store's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drug Store's curbside pickup service.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects or sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. Apologies, I went to get some water. Sorry for the little delay. It is 1:20, just 10 minutes to go before we wrap up the program for today. We'll head back to the phone lines and take some more calls. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good day, brother. How your day is going, Cornelius?
It's going really good. What about you?
I'm in Navy Shores right now, watching the nice area of Alexander Hamilton Hospital right now.
All right. The Alexandra Hospital.
The hospital, yeah. Where is Hamilton? He name after it.
No, the hospital is the Alexandra. But
but who name is him, right? Or somebody else?
Somebody else.
But don't let me go to that. I'm calling him because I'm not close. I radio too much. But I hold certain emphasis of Mama Henry giving that inquiry about ministerial and government and how the Prime Minister can do certain things to indicate from just the Minister itself, knowing of the position the Minister portfolio represents. So I would like to outline what is the format of your program discussion really on?
Well, we're talking about the expected portfolios this afternoon. We know this afternoon is the inauguration ceremony, so we're just saying who may get what and why we think they should or should not get these portfolios. That's basically it. Your take?
I will have a take on this here. If the people who are being elected as representation to the legislative body, right, they must be able to know that they're going there and they're full, and whatever I've given to them to serve in the genesis of the people and the development of the country in the position they are in the ministerial service, they must be able to make sure that when they get these positions, they indicate to the people and the service in the general way and not for their own conveniency. Because if it go into the conveniency of their own, then we'll have a problem on here, not seeing our service really giving the gratitude that needs to be done. And I'm not hiding to say it, because there is a lot of impact that we people have been in a lot of secrecy. And that's why you hear the last Prime Minister say that the former Deputy Prime Minister broke the soul and sacred soul of the cabinet and then what they have in line to be as members of Parliament. You see? So I hope that we see some good representation, good dialogue to the public, that they could come back and give the public their info on what their service is, whether they go outside or they have meetings inside and on the general context. So we people can know how we're going forward in social and economical development going here. Because I heard them make some statements, say, when they go in, they're going to give $500 as a what they say, the weekly pay. That was the, right?
Right.
So these are the contexts we really need to understand, because many people go to the service as they say ministerial service, but they don't do the ministerial work. You find the ministerial work go by the common man and woman in the working place or in the outline of the fields that represent these ministerial posts, not the minister itself or the minister he or she. So we really got to make sure that these people put themselves to the work properly and not just sit on the office and say they're signing something and that's all. We need more dialogue to maintain the ministerial service in a proper way for our people to have good transparency and administration, because we are the government and they are not the government. So we're ready to challenge them anytime and any call. You have a safe day, Brother Cornelius.
All right, you too.
Number 2, food and equality. Blessed love.
All right, Carter, you too. Have a good day. You take care. This is Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for your contribution. It is 1:24. We're taking some more calls. Let's take this last call and we'll wrap up the program. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Thank you for accepting my call and being tolerant this another time. Yes, what I want to say is, right, there is nothing that is written in stone, so to speak. Even the laws of the Bible are broken. They are broken. Okay? And even the Bible will tell us, even the Bible tells us that when there was a new king, the old ones, well, in terms of who was there, let's say in the cabinet, you know, let's use the word cabinet, not cabinet, in departments and who were working on other ministries, organizations, they had to go. It's right there in the Bible. It's right there in the Bible. There must be changes. And what I'm saying, if we have permanent secretaries and other persons, heads of departments and whatever, and they were not productive, they were not efficient, they were political hacks. I understand what the elder sister said, you know, about, and with the Sharon Ratton case and whatsoever. Okay? Nobody talking about you're going to just go on a wanton dismissal. No, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. But they have something needs to be done. They can't stay there. Otherwise, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to take the same unproductivity, inefficiency, political tribalism into the new, or continue it. So what is this new administration supposed to do? Sit down and have them wreck and derail their governance? No. So in truth and in fact, they got to go. Some of them got to go, if not all of them. It doesn't have to have no legal ramifications or litigations or whatever, whatever legal term they use or expression they use coming out of this. Okay? I could understand Sharon Ratton because I'm not going to go into detail with some of this stuff, but I could understand her position. But some of them here ain't going to have no reason to talk about they're going to court. So what? They have to go. Some of them did a poor job. They contribute to oppress citizens, suppress citizens. They did an extremely poor job. Why keep them still? And if if it is such that they say because somebody is put there as a permanent secretary, man, whatever is thrown up can come down, will come down. So if you were put into that position, where will happen, glue has you stuck inside there so you can't come back out? So if it is a case where they say that it's permanent in terms of permanent, where they need to do something, bring some sort of policy in place or whatever, some sort of something, which says that if for whatever reason that is not in the best interest of the country, that person has to be moved. Okay, you can't tell me that person has to be permanent in the sense of permanence. Not necessarily. Even if you go to the United States, the persons from one administration to the next, some of them don't even wait for them to be told to go, or wait for them to be dismissed, if we have to use that word. They leave. You see? So let us not complicate matters, even though I understand what you say, but let us not complicate matters. Right? Changes have to be made, and sometimes it has to be, it is not easy. It is tough, and it will cause a lot of ill feelings, but you got to do what you got to do for the betterment of everyone. Have a blessed day, Mr. Cornelius.
God, you too, you take care, and thank you so much for your contribution to the program. We are basically out of time, just 2 minutes left before, we wrap up the program for today. Let me say thank you so much for your contribution, all of you who called and comments on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining the program today. As I said earlier, and most of you are aware by now, this afternoon is the inauguration of the new members of cabinet of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, of the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party. This afternoon we will be hearing who has been assigned what portfolio. I will be attending this afternoon's inauguration as a member of the media and hoping to have a chat with the new members of cabinet and, of course, interacting with the different ministers and the other government officials to get their feedback on the assignment of the portfolios. It's a big event happening this afternoon. I realize a lot of people will be attending the event as well. But again, thank you so much for joining the program today. Of course, people would always assume and say, well, I think this ministry is going to that person or whatever. We don't know for a fact. But this afternoon, all of that will be confirmed. The event, the inauguration, begins at 4. They're asking attendees to arrive by 3, be seated by 3, so that there can be a smooth and early start. If you were listening to the headline news, the police force listed their traffic management plan in terms of parking and all of that. So thank you again for tuning into the program today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good Saturday and a restful Sunday. And see you Monday. God spare life. Thank you, and you guys take care.
Conscious Business is brought to you by Light New Steam Cleaning. You too can get exposure and awareness for
TDC Financial Services.